ourselves, we've got our bodies, understanding where we are. And then we're now understanding a deep dive into the brain and how it works and steadying ourselves up. We've gone probably a month and a half already into this mindset of how to get better and its professional level. So my next guest is one that has been a childhood friend of mine. I've known him ever since way back when. His mom actually taught me how to swim and became a lifeguard. So I've known Cory for quite some time. And so he's going to, the purpose of him is the passion. And this whole section about is passion and how to use your passion to drive your purpose. And so, Cory, thanks so much for being a part of this project. I've seen you for a long time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, 5 minutes, kind of introduce yourself. You talk about what makes you, kind of your history yourself, but and then really we're going to talk about your why. So I'm going to give you take 5 minutes if you want, not less, no big deal, but the floor is yours.
Well, Cory Benson here, born and raised in Salt Lake. Now I currently live in between Eden, Utah and downtown Salt Lake. I have places of both because we've got offices kind of split up. Today I'm 43 years young and have two awesome kids. My son turns 16 here coming up October 5th. So we've been teaching him how to drive, and that's been a fun experience. My little girl is almost 13 here on the 6th of September. She'll turn 13. So both teenagers, really, really good kids. Very spend a lot of time with them. We have a lot of fun. I am divorced now. Been divorced for about 9 years. She's remarried. Luckily, we have an awesome relationship. I feel very lucky. Their stepdad is a great guy and been a very good influence on my kids. And so for being separated, I think we probably have the best co-parenting relationship out of or being divorced that I've ever seen. So kids are good, family's good. For fun, a little bit about me. I mean, my motto in life is work hard, play hard. So I work extremely hard, but I like to play just as hard. And so we do with my kids and my friends. We're into all sorts of outdoor stuff. We boat a ton up at Pineview and Lake Powell's, probably my most favorite place on earth, and surfing and also riding motorcycles and razors, and love to fly. Love to ride Harleys, just out and about. That's pretty much the kind of short bit about me. And I'm single right now. I tell people I'm married to my business and to my kids, and there's not much time other than that. So try and fill the rest in with a little fun.
Good. I love it. Thank you. We could talk about a lot of things, and we'd have a whole discussion about, divorce and parenting, co-parenting. I mean, I was divorced for quite some time, remarried now, but this is about your passion. So help me understand. First, you gotta understand, this guy, Cory, just became number 782 on Inc. 5000 list. Now, you may not think that's big, but here's what's crazy. It's in the airline industry, a billion dollar industry. He is up against.
It's actually in all companies. So this is an airline specific. So this is the top 5,000 fastest growing companies in America. So.
I mean, if you don't start taking notes, you're doing yourself a disfavor, because this guy knows what he's talking about. So let's start with this. Why airplanes? Where did airplanes and the love for planes, where did that all come from?
It's interesting. When I was going through high school, and first we got to stop because I got to tell everybody a little bit about Cameron. So Cameron and I were really good friends, best of friends, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And in 6th grade, we were competing for the same girl. And here comes the dance. And guess who lost? That was me. Cameron got to dance with her, and I didn't. I still remember that to this day. Candace Green, she was smoking hot. So anyways, thanks for having me part of this.
There you go. I love it.
So Cameron, after I got out of high school, my whole goal was to go be a pilot. I want to be a commercial pilot. And I was going to take a year off before going to any pilot training. And I was just going to race my motorcycles. I was racing motocross and I was racing street bikes at the time. And so I decided to get a job selling cars, and that would give me the funds I needed to go race. And what happened is I started excelling really quickly in the car world and started making a lot of money at a very young age. And so then I was like, well, shit, what do I do? I don't really want to go back and spend $100,000 plus and get all the ratings I need to go be a commercial pilot. Maybe I'll just stay in the car industry and just buy one of my own airplanes and go to a little private flight school. And that's what I ultimately did. And I spent 15 years in the auto industry, everything from selling cars to managers, floor manager, finance, GSM, general manager. When I was 25 years old, I was running the largest dealership in Utah as a general sales manager. We had 60 salespeople, 15 managers selling 600 cars a month. And I was making more money than I was doing really well financially.
Yeah.
But I still had this itch, like I wasn't following my heart or my passion of being in the aviation world. So I did get my pilot's license. I bought a little airplane, and as I continued to grow in the car world, I would flip airplanes on the side for fun, little Cessnas. I even bought one on eBay one time without even seeing it, and flipped it and whatnot. That's a funny story. And as I grew through the car industry, there was a couple different times that there would be a hiccup. I was changing to a different dealership, and I was just scratching my head. I'm like, why don't I do what I really want to do? And before I was married, I almost did. I interviewed to go sell new Cessna airplanes. This is when I was 24 years old. Is before I took the job running the big Dodge and Toyota dealership that I just mentioned. And I went out and interviewed, and I just was so excited about I was going to move to Long Beach. I was going to live in my big boat in the marina, and I was dating my previous wife at that time. We weren't married yet, but that was the plan. I was just going to change my life and do it. Anyways, the interview process, they wanted to hire me, but they had to let go this other guy. It's this long, convoluted story that I just had to make a decision. So then I got offered this job that I couldn't pass up, running that Dodge and Toyota dealership. So I took it, and 2 weeks after, he called me and said, okay, we're ready for you to move to California. I'm like, well, shit, I can't. Like, I just took this new job. And so then fast forward, and I ended up owning a Ford dealership, partners with another gentleman. And then I went partners on another couple used car dealerships. We had our bank, and financially I was doing really, really well. I was able to live a great life and got married and had the kids. But every day I woke up, it was just still, I wasn't excited to go to work. I wasn't passionate about cars. I wasn't really passionate about the direction of the business, meaning I liked growing the business, but I wasn't just in love with that industry. And 2008, 2009 hit, and we had just built a huge, massive $5 million building for our new used car dealership. I have two business partners at the time. We're barely making it work. We're profitable, but just barely.
Yeah.
Where before we were making tons of money, and our biggest argument between the partners is where we're going on the next vacation. Like, it was fine when everything was making money.
Right.
Times were tough, and the tension in the relationship got tough with my business partners, and I just decided, you know what, screw this. I want out. And so went through that. That was uglier than my divorce, actually. Divorcing to my business partner. Shit, I'll never do that again. But after that, it's like, okay, what am I going to do? And we had a little bit of money saved up, not a ton, but we had enough. And my wife at the time was very successful. And she told me, just like, just follow your passion. Like, go do what you want to do. So I started an aviation company, had no idea what I was doing, had no idea how the business worked. And my intention was just to become an aircraft broker, a salesperson, basically like a real estate agent, but my houses have wings and there can be anywhere in the world.
Right.
And so I rented a little office. I talked one of my sales managers at the car dealership to come in and go with me. And we just started cold calling. Like, we got a list of aircraft owners and just smiled and dialed. And I remember getting my very first listing. I was so excited. And then had no idea what to do with it or how to work it. But I knew the art of sales.
Yeah.
At least somewhat. I mean, that's all I'd really done. And so I just put all my eggs into one basket, and I was like, I'm going to do what I love. And even if I make less money, I would rather wake up and want to go to work than be making a shit ton of money and not enjoying my life. And so I took a big gamble. I left the car industry, and I remember, you probably heard I don't know if there's a book or a story, I don't even know if it's actually true, but the burning of the ships, where they pull up and they're going into war, and the leader of the army burns all the ships, so they have no way to retreat. So
Yeah.
I ended up taking I remember I was at Snow Basin, I had a big cigar, and I was with my buddy, and we took our car salesman license and we burned it. We're like, there's no going back. Like, this is my new life. I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to find a way to make it work. So that's where CB Aviation started. Now we've rebranded to CB Skyshare. And it's been a wild, wild ride. Like, again, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I feel like I'm rambling here, but it was such a relieving deal for me to finally find something that I was passionate about. I loved airplanes. I loved aviation. I loved the business aspect. And I tell my kids every day, like, find something that you love. If you find something you love and you have a good work ethic, and you're going to bust your ass and work hard, the money will follow. And I know, I mean, in my business, I deal with the top half of the 1% in terms of wealth that can afford these big private jets that we're flying around. And there's a lot of rich people that are very unhappy. There's a lot of rich people that are miserable. And so money is not going to provide you happiness, in my belief. It might buy you a boat, might buy you some cool stuff, but if you have something that you're passionate about, it, and you follow it and you work it, you're like, it's a whole different life switch for me. It was like I was almost born again. My friends would tell me I was never been a depressed person, but it was like this whole new energy that came about when I finally did something that I was passionate about.
Dude, I mean, we could stop this entire interview just off of what you just said. I don't think people realize, because, when I was in the mortgage industry, when you were dealing with the money transaction back and forth, you are right. I have met some of the most unhappy people who make more money than they know what to do with it. And you said something really key during that whole process is you would wake up, you would go to a place that you hated. You had no passion about selling cars. You were wealthy from a financial standpoint. And you did this because I don't know, I guess you were checking, like you said, you were checking boxes off. You got married, you had kids, that was fun, but the passion, that internal passion and drive was dying. And I think it is so crucial for so many people that just because you have a ton of money doesn't mean you're happy. Just because you can make money doing anything, flipping burgers. I mean, kids, we drive up the street all the time and I see kids selling, pop and candy and popcorn and, all kinds of fun things. And they just have this passion for it. Yeah. So I love that the passion drove you and kicked you right in your backside and said, do it. And you said something was amazing. You took a license and you burned it. And you said, there is no going back. You're all in at this point. You can't go you could have got a license, but at that point you burned your old and you allowed the newness to come in. You said, I'm allowing myself from the hell or high water. This thing's going to work. And I love how you bootstrap this thing and you run it. And now it's just where it is today, man. That is so critical for so many people in this space that are trying to be that next level salesperson or that next level manager. You got to go all in. So this is kind of funny. I mean, I'm going to talk about this a little bit, but from all that experiences, I remember turning on the TV and the Discovery Channel, and they had this repo TV show that was going for a bit. And they had this repo airplane. And I'm like, oh, this ought to be interesting. Just pure blue out of blue. And I go and I look at this guy and I'm like, holy crap, that is my childhood friend, my best friend. There he is, Cory. He's ducking behind the counter, and the guy and the owner of the airplane, he leaves, and I see him running. I'm like, what is he doing? And all of a sudden he's on a plane flying. I'm like, this dude just repoed this airplane in broad daylight. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, I was calling my brothers and I was like, you have got to figure out how to find this. So tell me about that experience. I mean, not that experience, but that experience of just that. And did that help springboard you further? I mean, did you at that point were in the building of this business was like, man, I could actually, this is really going to take off? Or was that a pivotal point?
So Cameron, it's interesting because I did a couple different TV shows. And I'll back up a little. Like, I'm a firm believer that if you think of something and you believe it, like, doors will just open. And I'll tell you a story. This is still when we were very small. I only had like 3 or 4 employees. I came to my team. I'm like, hey guys, I think it's a good idea if we did this. I want to do a TV show. There's not a TV show about airplane or airplane sales. And there's, at that point in time, there was King of Cars and there's House Hunters and there's all these other different reality shows about these different industries. And so I said, we're not in a place financially where we can try and do something. Let's really work, over the next year and make this a goal of trying to create this TV show. So literally 2 days later, I get this call and this guy goes, hey, I'm a producer from the Discovery Channel and I want to talk to you about doing a TV show. And I about hung up on him because I thought it was my team playing a joke on me because they were kind of mocking me, like whatever. And I started listening to him and it was a different storyline than I had thought of, where my storyline was more along the aircraft sales route. This was more along the aircraft delivery, flying small airplanes all over the world. So I started talking to him and he had found my company through a Google search because we had international offices, basically salespeople around the world. And so he's like, and again, it's just like how fate works, or if you really believe and think about stuff, it'll happen. So I'm talking to him and I was like, you've got a really strong French accent. Where are you from? And he says, well, our production company's in Montreal. I said, well, that's so weird. I'm delivering a plane in Montreal in 2 days. Let's go to dinner. And he's like, well, I don't know if we're ready to go to dinner, but I'll maybe meet you for a pre-drink just to kind of meet you. We're interviewing lots of people. Anyways, long story longer, I meet him in Montreal. The short drink turns into dinner and going out after. And during that, he's like, so the TV show ended up being called Dangerous Flights, which was separate than Airplane Repo. And Dangerous Flights, it was about, again, flying these small airplanes all over the world. So he's like, I need to be able to do one demo reel that I can show Discovery that this is a real viable TV show.
Right.
So again, it's like how weird the world works. I said, well, how fast can you move? Because I leave for Australia in 2 weeks, where we're taking a turboprop that doesn't have the range to fly over the ocean. So we're going to take all of the back seats out of the aircraft. We're going to put all these big fuel tanks in the inside the airplane. We're going to have 2,400 pounds of fuel inside the airplane that's piped into the fuel system by this rinky-dink Napa fuel pumps. And it ended up, we filmed it. It ended up being the season 1, episode 1 of Dangerous Flights. So Dangerous Flights was a show that we did 2 seasons for with Discovery of Canada. It played throughout the world, on Discovery proper in the UK, in Europe, Asia. Here in the US, it didn't have enough, quote, drama for Discovery US, so it played on the Smithsonian Channel. So not a lot of people know about it. But that and kind of led into Airplane Repo, where I did that as well. And it was a really amazing experience, especially Dangerous Flights, where I was able to touch 32 countries in 3 years of filming, flying these little airplanes all over the world, met some of the most amazing people and still dear friends with a lot of them now. And it opened my eyes to some of the opportunity that is out there in business, and opened the doors to some new avenues that did help jumpstart the business and kind of put us on the map, our company name on the map. So it was quite the fun experience. So I used to brag to people and say, I'm famous in 3 places: Canada, Iceland, and my own head.
Man, a whole segment could just be on that part, because I remember seeing you doing that. I remember watching this going, if you guys haven't do it, YouTube it. It's It's awesome. It's one of the coolest episodes I've ever seen. And it did whatever lackluster here in the US. I mean, if you're not, somebody's not dying or being shot in front of you, I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it's the
exactly.
rating, but that episode was so cool. And I love how you talk specifically about if you cast it out there, if you say it out there, it will come to you. It may not come right there and then, but it will come back. And I love that because you're casting that passion out into the universe, and the universe is going to respond, whether if you're religious, you're not religious, you're praying and, God help me. And it will always be answered. It will come to you in the way and when you're ready to receive it. And I think it was cool. I do remember seeing you all over Dubai, meeting with people in Dubai. I remember I've been following you for a long time and just seeing all the places you've gone. And I'm just like, man, it is so cool that how your love for what you do, because it's not work, right? I mean, yeah, there's a financial side to it because there always has to be a financial part when you're in business, but it's not work when you have that much passion. I think it's so cool that you keep referring back to that. So let me transition real quick. Why take on the big boys of the air? Meaning there are a million options, right? In this corporate world of travel, right? I mean, I could go and Google and say cheap tickets, and they pull up all these cheap tickets or private tickets. Why take on this big boy world and I haven't seen this Skyshare model. I mean, there's probably spawn ups now because it's starting to really take off, obviously, with the success that you guys are having. So was it just wanting a better way of travel? Was it to have a better experience for the corporate people? I mean, help us all understand, like what brought you to say, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to systematically change the way that people travel?
Yeah, good question. Um, so I think the first thing, if I were to say down to the basics, the first thing is when you figure out where your passion is, and that can be within anything. It could just be growing businesses, and if you're passionate about that, then do that, or it could be whatever. And so I knew I was passionate about the aviation world. I knew I was passionate. I loved flying. I knew I wanted that as an aspect of what I was doing. And we've been in business now. This isn't overnight. I think that's one of the problems with people today. And we were talking a little bit about this before, is people want the get rich quick scheme. And there's really not that, unless you want to buy enough lottery tickets, and it's still not going to work. But for the
So true.
first 9 years, it was a grind, and it's still a grind. But I guess what I mean is, during those first 9 years, I was always trying to figure out what can I do to separate myself. Yes, I'm in the field, in the passionate area of where I want to be, so I like going to work and I feel good about it. But what can I do to make my company different? What service can I provide that's going to make us stand out? What can we do to be better than everybody else? And about 3.5 years ago, I had sold a couple of private jets from the Ukraine that were actually coming back to the United States. And I was riding with one of the pilots on one of them, and I just found out what he did. And he worked for this fractional company that was back east. And I was like, God, there's really nothing like that out here in the Western US. So I spent the next few months doing a ton of research on all of the different programs that are out there. What's good about them? What's bad about them? What could I do to make us different? How can I make it more simple for our owners and higher level of customer service? And I tell my team all the time that we're in the service industry. That's what
Yep.
we are. Our airplanes are the tools. We are in the service and experience industry. If we can deliver an amazing experience with great service, they're expecting the plane to be safe and fly. That's expectation, but it's all the stuff above that, the level of service. And if we can deliver that, one of our core values is deliver the wow. And if we can deliver the wow all the time, that's what's going to grow the company. And so that's when we remarketed or rebranded ourselves, rather, as from CB Aviation to CB Skyshare, and started the jet sharing program. And it was tough. Like, I mean, to try and bootstrap that and get it off the ground when you're dealing in multi-million-dollar planes, like I just had people that I was flying. It was funny. I was flying one of my owners last night. I don't fly our owners a ton because we have a bunch of pilots now, but we're short. And I was flying, and was our very first Skyshare owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I had sold him on the dream of Skyshare. He had given us a deposit to buy in on a fraction of the first airplane. Well, I ran out of time, and that airplane was going to get sold to someone else. It literally went to the day before the people I was buying it from. They worked with me. They finally said, "Hey, you haven't paid us off on the airplane. We're going to come pick up the airplane tomorrow unless you pay us off." So Scott Keller is my client last night that I was flying, and we were actually talking about this till about midnight last night after we landed. And he's like, "Cory, I don't know why I trusted you." He's like, "I barely knew you, but I just felt that I wasn't worried about it. I knew you'd pay me back, and I knew it would work out." And he personally loaned me almost $2 million to buy that first airplane. And then he's like, "And then look at you now." And it was just fun to kind of reminisce. So I guess coming back to your question though, it's why I take on the big guys. I'm not afraid of taking on anyone. You know, I don't really feel like I'm in competition with anybody. There's enough people that want to fly for everybody. I just want to grow this company, and I want to grow a team that wants to come to work. It's the other thing I say all the time is I don't want anybody that doesn't want to come to work to come to work. Yep. I'd rather you stay home and just quit. Like, I only want people that want to be here, that want to be part of the mission, want to be part of our goals, and then align around something that's going to make us unique and different. And I think that's been what's been fun to watch is I also say a lot to my team that we have to have our arrows aligned. And I'm going way off on a tangent here, but if we've got maintenance arrows pointing over here and you've got sales, and if not everybody understands the clear vision of who we are and where we're going and how we're going to get there, you're never going to move anywhere quickly. And so we talk as a leadership team, and then within the company and proliferate that down to our other team members of like, here's the mission, here's what we're going to do. We're going to remind them always, and here's the purpose. And it takes everybody in the whole team to make that work. So I do think, you know, we're not head to head with the big guys yet, like the NetJets and FlexJets and some of these other people that have been around a long time, but we will be. Like, we're on a mission, but I don't really look at it as, you know, in competition. We're in competition with ourselves. I just want to live a great life so I can work hard and play hard.
Dude, I love that last thing you said is you're in competition with yourself and nobody else. And when the faster people can realize the competition is that internal fight, it's that drive, you know, it's that anybody who's played any sports, I know you were a big hockey player for years. I still just, so I'm going to go on a tangent here. I still remember playing street hockey with you out in the front of your house. I had just bought my black and white rollerblades. I thought they were so cool. Everybody had the blue. So Cory had these blue, what were they called? They started with a B, Birkin.
I have no idea.
They were these blue boots, rollerblades, and they were red. And so I'm like, I had my white lightnings is what they were named as. And everybody was skating. And I'm like, all right, I finally bought these. I'd been mowing lawns all summer. I bought these skates back then. They were like $130, which was, I don't know why, but anyway, so I get them, I'm on there, I'm getting ready. I'm like, the puck drops, and anybody knows it's a puck, but it's got, you know, wheels and it's moving around, and I get checked. We're on the street, black asphalt, and he hits me. Now, I've been playing football ever since I was 7.
You'd run over people in football.
All of a sudden I remember going, you know, I looked super awkward because I don't really play hockey, but my buddy was playing. So I'm like, I want to do it. I remember going to go hit this puck. And next thing you know, I am just on my side going, what hit me? And you look back and just looked at me like, no, you're just like, stay in your lane. You're a football player. I'm a hockey player. And I was just like, at that point, I'm like, we're gonna have a lot of fun. So, but the one thing that you said was, and I went on to your FAQ section of you know, CB Skyshares, and it says charter works on a trip by trip basis and has significant variability and availability, price, and quality of the craft. Charter is much like online dating or an auction bidding for a used car. You never really know what you're going to get. Skyshares is an ownership jet jet share program. With Skyshare, you become on a title owner with a share in one aircraft, and your shares entitle you to fly any aircraft in our gorgeous, pristine fleet. I love that. That mission statement is beautiful. You own the plane that you fly in. So you can, here it is, you pick the plane that you like. And I think that is such a differentiating between what you do and what everybody else, because everybody promise comfort and safety, but you basically, it's like when you own something, you're going to treat it with respect. And I think that's fantastic. It's awesome. I love that whole portion there. I love that statement that you made. So
I wish I could take credit for it, but I'm not that elegant. So that was our Michael and our marketing team. He's the writer behind all that. But yeah, I mean, that's it, kind of coming back to, we're in the service industry and the planes are just tools, but we also want to deliver, like when they do have ownership in one of these planes, and that's what our owners love the most, is that they have ownership in one airplane, but they can fly any of the models depending on the mission they want to go. But even more than that, it's they know who the pilots are, they know the airplanes. It's not this unknown question mark of, what airplane's going to show up? What about the pilots? I don't know them. I don't trust them. We get to become, especially me, I've been very fortunate that we've attracted some incredible owners into our program that I became really close friends with them. Actually, one of them invited me and went and spent a week on his yacht with him and his friends. And so it's just, I've created some amazing relationships, but we want to deliver a higher level experience. We want to deliver that wow every single time. But it starts, another one of our core values is team first. And because we have to have our team that's in alignment, and we have to know that we have each other's back within our company. And if the team feels that they're united and they're in line of where we're going, then we can deliver the outward wow to everybody else. So.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, we're running. I know, you're busy. I'm busy, not nearly as busy as you. So I want to finish with a couple questions. The last question is, what is your legacy? When people think of Cory Benson, what legacy are you wanting to leave behind for those who've known you, that love, respect you, and trust you from whether it's a professional level or from your family level? I mean, what is that legacy that you're hoping to leave behind?
Great question. I don't know if I could put it down into one sentence or anything like that. I'll tell you, I did read. And when I say read a book, that's always a lie, because I listen to them on Audible. So I listened to a book called Living Forward. Have you heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
So one of the activities that the book has you do is it has you write your own eulogy, but not what you would say about yourself, but it has you write it like in 4 different times. So it has you write it in first person of what you would want your kids to say about you. It has you write it in first person of your employees or your team members of what they would say about you, or what you hope they would say about you, what your friends would say about you. And so that was a really powerful, and you take a whole day to do it. You block out a day in your calendar. There's no cell phone. I actually went out on my boat all by myself and just sat there. And that's challenging, Cameron, to sit there and to write in first person. My dad was blank, like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming back to your question, like, I think it's different depending on the person that's talking about it. I hope that my kids say that I was the best father that they could be, that I could be, that I was there for them. And, it's, gosh, my son's only got a few more years at the house and then he's gone, he's out of there. So I hope I hope that they will come back and think that I taught them the lessons. I mean, that's like, you can't, you got to teach them how to fish. Like, I'm hoping that we can just teach them how to be really good humans and find their passion, follow their passion, and live a happy life. And so I don't really care to have my name on some university building or anything like that. I'm not looking for any sort of legacy like that. I hope that I want to build this big company just because I like it. It's not a dollar amount that I'm chasing. I don't have this dream of being a billionaire. It's not the amount of money that's in my bank. I do really want to work hard so I can have financial freedom, so I can do what I want when I want to go.
Right.
Which I have. Flying jets is expensive, so it takes a lot of money. But
Right.
so to summarize, you know, I I hope that people look back and say he was honest, he um, good father. Sure, I'll get married again. Good husband, great boss, and had a lot of fun.
Ahead. Dude, I love that. I love that. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. But so a couple things. Here's the scenario. I'm going to read this to you. You're chartering a flight from Utah to Arizona. It's an hour flight, 45 minutes, right? If you got wind behind you, I guess. And the person who booked the flight only booked it so they could ask you how to push through all the haters, the naysayers, the negative people. Oftentimes, they're the ones that are the super closest to us. So can you give us some actionable steps, right? 1, 2, 4 steps, if you will, on coaching someone how to break through the noise, right? So your passion is always at the forefront. How would you console somebody, or how would you instruct somebody? Step one, here's where you start and this is where you're going, but give us some actionable steps that myself and the people that are viewing this and those that are reading the book, that they can actually do. And this is going to be, we're going to make this to where they'll do it all week long, but just give me some actionable steps that you've taken to help break through all that noise.
I would say first, you need to get real quiet and still with yourself and figure out what is your passion, and figure out what is your purpose. That word is thrown around a lot these days, but to figure out, take all the money aside, take everything else away. What's going to ultimately make you happy inside? What is your true passion? What like the question you asked before, what do you want to be known for? And then, and if that's the end goal, then break it down into steps of how you're going to do that. So a couple of things that I've done personally for me that's helped a lot is I write down my goals. A lot of people write down their goals, but I laminate it and I put it in my shower. So every single morning I see them, and they're broken down by family, personal, business, and spiritual. And I would lie to say I hit every single one, but I promise you, Cameron, I've hit probably 90% more than I would have if I wasn't looking at them every single day and subconsciously and consciously thinking about it. So when you first kind of figure out what your passion is and who you want to be and where you want to go, then write those goals down and laminate, put it in your shower so you look at it every single day. So every day you're working towards that, and then do things that are going to help you along the way. I listen to probably 4 to 5 books a month, from business books to self-help books to some spiritual. I'm not really a religious person. I have to call myself a spiritual person, to even books about sex. All types of books to help me be more rounded in every way. I don't cloud myself with a bunch of shit that I don't have control over. I don't really watch the news. I need to know what's going on in the world a little bit so I can have intelligent conversations, but I want to focus on the stuff that I have control over. And I remember Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, one of the greatest books. He talks about there's the sphere. This first circle is the sphere of influence, of the sphere that you actually have control over. And then there's the stuff outside that first circle, or all the stuff that's going on, the stuff that's going on in the world, or that stuff that you have no control over. There's no actionable item you can take to change. That if you don't focus on that stuff and you focus on the stuff that is within your circle, something that you actually can do, then your whole mindset changes. And so kind of back to the action steps, getting still, getting clear, and knowing where you want to go. Create your goals, write them down, look at them every single day, and be working towards them. Listen to or read as many books or go to seminars. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. In fact, I got a tattoo. It's the only tattoo I have, but it was at a Tony Robbins event. And lastly, it's who you surround yourself with. Many people say, and I truly believe it, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So are the people you're with, are they pulling you up? Are they taking you closer to the goals you have written on the wall? Or are they the freaking anchor that's tied to your ankle and pulling you under?
Yeah. My brother, I can't even tell you how jacked I am about this whole, you being a part of this project and just being here to pick your brain, man. I mean, if people aren't seriously taking this under consideration, writing things down, stopping and going back, man, you're doing everybody a disservice. So thank you so much for your time. I know you got to get going, but if people want to follow you, give them where can people go follow you on a social media aspect or on business, or if they want to reach out to you and say, hey, tell me more about the Skyshare. I mean, give us, how can we access you?
Yeah. So cbskyshare.com is the company's website. And then you can find me on Facebook, just my name. It's spelled different. It's the last name rather. It's Cory, Cory, and the last Bengtzen. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and they're not blocked or private. So I'll just say one more thing. So I mentioned this tattoo that I got at Tony Robbins. And one thing he talks about is it's the little stuff that you do in life that adds up and builds up to the big stuff. And so he talks about 2 millimeters. It's just the little 2 millimeter changes that you do. And that hit me really hard when he was talking about it, that it's even like the way you hold yourself. If you hold your sternum up 2 millimeters higher, your shoulders are back, you boast more confidence, you breathe better, your energy is completely different. And then my tattoo says 2 millimeters times 10. And for me, the 10 was like, I preached being in sales forever, that I tell my guys, you got to make 10 calls a day, 10 calls a day. And then I looked at myself, I'm like, why the hell am I not making 10 calls a day? Because if me as the leader showing them that I'm willing to do it. And so I don't do it every day, but I promise I made thousands of calls more than I would if I didn't have this tattooed on my arm with my door open and everybody hears it. So it's 2 millimeters times 10 equals, and then it's blank. And for me, that means everything. It equals everything. It equals financial freedom. It equals a better life that I can enjoy with my kids and my family. And lastly, he talked about, if you're going to make a decision to do something, you have to take action now. You can't wait till next Monday, because next Monday never comes. And so this was, I was about midnight at his event the day before my 42nd birthday. And I was like, you know what, screw it. And I got up and I walked out of the event. I Ubered over and I hit the closest tattoo parlor. And I went in, I said, all I wanted to say is 2 millimeters times 10 equals, and it hides under my watch. But it was something I was like, I'm going to take action now. I'm going to focus on the little things that are going to turn into the big things. So I hope that helps.
Brother, dude, I love it, man. All right. Before I let you go though, since you brought this up, 5 books. What are the 5 books you would recommend, whether to read or listen to, that you would say, here, listen
4
to these?
Agreements for sure. Love the 4 Agreements. Living Forward, as I mentioned earlier, is a powerful book. I absolutely love McConaughey's new book, Green Lights. I thought that was awesome. Start with the Why is another good one, and Winning probably is what I'd recommend.
And I'll put all that in the links below, and we'll be in the book as well. But hey, Cory, man, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate it, brother. I love you. I love seeing just the excitement and the passion that you have, man. And I appreciate you being on today.
Hey, thank you again.
All right.
See you soon, Cameron.
All right, buddy. I'll see you later.
All right, buddy.